Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we're going to do the Game Week 16 team selection video. So just like that, we already are at the last game week before the World Cup, and that also means that we can now take our 1 week punts, right, based on the fixtures that look really good and the players that we have a gut feel that are going to do well. We take a 1 week punt and yeah, potentially increase our rank just before the World Cup starts. Right, so a lot of things to go through in this video. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you do, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. We're trying to hit 3,000 subscribers before the World Cup, and we're so close, right? So I will be streaming on Saturday before the deadline as well. So I'll be streaming for about 2 to 3 hours, hopefully to try and hit 3,000 subscribers by the World Cup break as well. So if you guys are here, please help me out and hit that button. Alright, so for game week 15, right, this was how I did. My score is on the screen, right? Not a very good game week at all, right? So I was one of those unfortunate people who moved Salah out for Kevin De Bruyne, and Salah of course hauled, right? So that was one of the key moves that kind of determined my game week for me, right? So I was initially at 509k in the world, and because of that, I'm now at 724k in the world, right? So not a position that I want to be in. Ideally, I was trying to break into the top 500k. So hopefully my move this week can propel me there, and I'm bringing in a really good differential this week. So let's see if he can do it. Right? I'll review my move in a while's time, right? But currently I'm sitting on 858 points. So let's see if we can break the 900 point barrier before the World Cup. Right, so as for my scores, I think the defense was pretty abysmal, right? 3 points for Pope, 1 for Zuma, 1 for Dunk, -2 for Cancelo with that red card. So Trippier, the only one who performed, he hauled as well, right? Came off just before Newcastle conceded. But the thing is, Trippier is so highly owned, right? So it doesn't really help my rank at all, right? And then in the midfield, Martinelli and Rashford blanked, right? De Bruyne luckily with that assist for the penalty, and Zaha thankfully repaying my faith in him, right? I've kept him for so long. 12 points, really great performance from him. Hopefully he can keep it up against Nottingham Forest in the next game week. Some of us probably lost a bit of patience with him, took him out. That was a little bit unlucky as well, because this was one of the tougher fixtures for Crystal Palace. So for him to hold there, especially with that last assist, a little bit lucky to get that assist with a pass to Olise, who scored, right? So all in all, I think it's not too bad a return from Zaha. I think over the course of the last couple of game weeks, he did get a couple of blanks. So when we look at it from, a 3 to 4 game week time frame, he did actually perform quite well. That's provided you kept him all the way till now. Right, and then there's Wilson and Haaland up top. Haaland with the penalty. Wilson came off at half-time against Chelsea, right? So pretty unfortunate there, but I think he will be fine for game week 16, right? Fingers crossed. Right, so let's see how I'm going to line up for game week 16, what moves I'm going to make. So my move for game week 16 is going to be Mitrovic to Darwin Núñez. I have just enough funds for this. Initially, I had 2 million in the bank, right? But making this move, I now have 0.0 in the bank. So just enough funds, and this because I actually did De Bruyne in for Salah, and that kind of freed up a little bit more funds, right, to make this move. So yes, I know last week bringing in De Bruyne for Salah didn't really pay off, right? But in doing so, I actually freed up this option for myself to go Mitrovic to Darwin Núñez, right, which I actually prefer over Firmino, right? If you were asking me to compare between Darwin Núñez and Firmino, definitely Núñez is getting the better chances. He's much more advanced, right, and a lot of the big chances are actually falling to him. So his numbers are really good. His expected goals, expected assists are all really high, and I think he has developed a little bit of a connection with Mo Salah now, right? So maybe that could turn into some returns for him against Southampton, right? This 1 week punt, I think, is a really good place to go. So for those of you without enough funds to get to Darwin Núñez, I actually think that Gabriel Jesus is also a pretty good option against Wolves this week, right? So those are the options that I think around that price range makes sense, right? Around the 8 to 9 mil bracket. So this is how the team is looking like in game week 16 after I've made the transfer. So officially I haven't locked it in yet, but as of recording on Thursday night, Mitrovic is predicted to drop in price, and that would mean that I would no longer be able to afford Darwin Núñez if I delayed this move. So I'm very likely to lock this move in tonight, and that would make the team look something like this for game week 16, which I think is pretty strong. Right, so we're going to go for Ward in goal. I've dropped Pope to the bench, and this because I don't want to double up on Newcastle defense against Chelsea. They have been a bit leaky here and there in the last minute, conceding some goals. So I would be a little bit more confident now, especially since Ward has been keeping so many clean sheets. I do think like they have a little bit of defensive momentum there, Leicester. So I'll be starting Ward, and then I have Trippier, Dunk, and Cancelo. So Cancelo is no longer suspended, and he's already served the suspension in the Carabao Cup, so he's free to play against Brentford. There's every chance that he will start, right? And Man City are highest for clean sheet odds as well, so let's hope that they can keep a clean sheet against Brentford, right? And then Trippier, obviously we're going to start him. He's been so good this season, right? And that third defender spot is actually a spot that I'm kind of thinking whether I should go for Dunk against Aston Villa at home, Gehi on the bench there against Nottingham Forest, and Zuma with Leicester at home. All of them actually have a shout to be this third defender. So for now, it's looking like Lewis Dunk. I could very well just rotate between maybe Gehi to start instead of Dunk, right? So we'll see about that. In the midfield, there's De Bruyne, Rashford, Martinelli, and Zaha. All of them have really good fixtures. De Bruyne, as I mentioned, I think he's going to start. There's every chance after the benching for Haaland and De Bruyne in the Carabao Cup that both of them would probably start in game week 16. So I don't see a reason to swap De Bruyne out for Mo Salah anymore. Right? So De Bruyne against Brentford, especially if Haaland plays, I think that's where he can really get those assist points, because most of his points this season have come from assisting Haaland. So hopefully they both start. So De Bruyne there, Rashford against Fulham, that's also a really good fixture for him, right? Martinelli has Wolves away, Zaha, Nottingham Forest away. So I'm really expecting some good points from the midfielders. And then up front, there's Darwin Núñez, Haaland, and Wilson. So Darwin Núñez, as mentioned just now, I think he's been on the end of a lot of the good chances that Liverpool have been having. It's just a matter of converting now. So hopefully against Southampton, he can pull off some returns. Maybe his connection with Salah, which has improved really recently, I think can get some returns for him there. And then Haaland, as mentioned, I mean, Haaland is pretty much inevitable. If he starts, he's going to get returns, right? It's very likely that a lot of people are going to captain him as well, right? If we get the league that he's going to start, right? So he's going to be a difficult player to buy back for those of you guys who have already taken him out in game week 15. So I would probably wait for team leagues to kind of determine whether you should bring Haaland back. But at this point, as of recording, it really does seem like Haaland and De Bruyne will both start, right? And then there's Wilson against Chelsea at home. He is a yellow flag at this point. He already missed out the Carabao Cup, but there are rumours that he'll probably be back fit for Chelsea at home. So over the weekend, hopefully he can be fit in time, right? But if not, I think Andreas on the bench as my first up is a pretty good replacement as well. He's been taking along nicely, right? So there we go. This is how the team is looking like, and let's now take a look at the captaincy options. So on the screen is the Game Week 16 Captaincy Rubrics, and if you guys are new to this, basically every week we kind of use statistics to decide for us who the best captain is, right? So as you guys can see, 58.5, highest score for Haaland, of course. It's no surprise really, especially since he plays Brentford at home, who have been conceding so many chances, right? But if you guys can take a look at the second option, Darwin Núñez is actually right up there with him, right? Ahead of KDB, ahead of Salah. So this is also a good time for me to highlight Darwin Núñez's good numbers and kind of substantiate why I actually brought him in from Mitrovic. So 0.91 expected goals per 90 is only second to Haaland. His expected assist is also the highest after KDB. Right, KDB's statistics are obviously really good for expected assists, but following closely behind is already Darwin Núñez. Right, so expected goal involvement is pretty high, of course, because the expected goals and expected assists are very high. So the expected goal involvement is just a collation of those two. Right, in terms of expected points per 90 as well, 9.29. So just behind Haaland, his numbers are just insane. So projected points wise, he is a little bit lower than the rest of the field, and that's because they actually do think his minutes are a little bit less secure. So the model actually has adjusted his projections a little bit there, right? But in terms of the other statistics, the individual statistics that we see, his numbers are really good. As I mentioned, he's getting the chances. So it's just a matter of whether he's able to convert those chances against Southampton over the weekend, right? After all, it is a 1 week punt, so I don't see anywhere else that this money could be spent, this extra 2 mil that I have, right? So in terms of the score for him, right, he's 45 overall, right? So it's second behind Haaland in terms of the statistics who tell us who the best captain is, right? So no surprise there, KDB and Salah follow behind quite closely. And then there is Kane, Jesus, and Saka. Right, Kane, who plays Leeds, also in with a shout. He's been so consistent, ticking along. And Spurs, even though they are in quite a difficult time period with the results they've been receiving the past few game weeks, but I think Kane has just been someone that's been performing nonetheless. Right, whether they win, whether they lose, he does get those returns. Right, so I think he's a pretty good captaincy shout as well. Right, and then Jesus and Saka, they play Wolves away. Right, so not the best fixture for them, but I think if they are the best players that you can captain in your team, they have decent numbers as well. Jesus is getting the chances. Right, so there we go. Game week 16 captaincy rubrics. So for this week, I'm going to put the captain's armband on Haaland and the vice captain's armband on Darwin. Now, of course, this is subject to the team leaks that we could be receiving, and once again, to crash the servers right 15 minutes before the deadline. So I will be streaming about 2 to 3 hours before the deadline, also because I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers, so I will be streaming for a little bit longer, and closer to the deadline, I would expect that we are going to get those team leaks. So for now, I'm just going to put it on Haaland and vice captain Darwin Núñez first. So in the event that we get a leak that maybe Haaland starts, I think I'm good to leave the team as it is, in the event the servers crash. Right, so we know the risk involved here. So for those of you who are delaying your transfers, be sure to kind of reduce the number of moves you actually have to make, or you actually need the server to register, right, those moves that you want to make. So reduce them so that there's lower chance of you actually being played out by the system, right? But for now, this is it. This is how the team is looking like for Game Week 16. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like and also subscribe as well. If you're new around here, we're trying to hit 3,000 subscribers before the World Cup. We're so close, right? So I will see you guys on the deadline stream, and hopefully we can get to this milestone by then. Right, but for now, that's it, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon. Bye bye.